what's up? How's it? Aloha, it is me, Makahiki. Welcome to Culturize. This is a space where we get to sit down with friends, people with ike, people with mana'o, people with ideas and knowledge of whatever culture is to them. As you know, native, ethnic, or social, it's all about it. We always, we just truly believe that if you understand a little bit about everybody else's culture, we're all going to be better off. And, you know, because we are in Hawaii and we are a cultured people, we always like to create space and make sure that people we sit down with feel welcome. So this is how we do it. Mahalo ilono. Got to say mahalo to the Kanaka Kid creating the space and welcoming our guests. I'm excited. This is actually, I think the first time we're physically meeting, right? So you see a lot of his project on social media. Some of you may know him. And if you don't know him, ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Ipa.
Aloha.
How are you, brother?
Mahalo.
Oh, first of all, mahalo for being here, because I know you're a busy guy, but as we create space, are you a kava drinker?
Always.
Well, a little bit of a contemporary kava. My good friends from Kapa Kava. So today we've got strawberry lilikoi. You ever tried this?
No, never tried.
A little bit dangerous. And lihimoi mango. Which one you want to try?
I said a lihimoi.
Oh, look at that. All right. So again, so those of you that are watching, you know, whenever we get to sit down and share mana'o and ike, you know, it's no matter what it is, it's over. Ava, you can all the way, you can sip it. It's up to you. We're contemporary Hawaiians. And a lot of people ask, they watch the show and they talk about ava. Here's something interesting. Some of you may or may not know. Hawaiians, we didn't drink ava for recreational purposes. Our brothers and sisters from the South Pacific, they did. We did it more so for medicinal purposes, ceremonial purposes. But like I said, we're contemporary Hawaiians, so.
Yeah.
Mahalo, brother, for being here. Uh-oh. How's that?
It's ono.
Right?
Yeah.
A little bit different from regular dirt water.
Yeah.
What high school you went?
You know, that's a question I get asked a lot, but like, try guess. That's always my...
Really?
Yeah, try guess what high school.
Okay, so this is the weird thing. So far on the Culturize podcast, Kamehameha School is at the top of the list. I don't want to say Kamehameha. Am I right or wrong?
Wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
In Hawaii?
In Hawaii.
Wow. See, now all these stereotypes are in my head.
That's why I like to ask that question. You know,
Kimo Leong was sitting here the other day, and he was like, I went to university lab.
Yeah.
Private?
Private.
Iolani. No way.
Yeah, Iolani.
Wait, hold on. When did you go to Iolani?
So I graduated back in 2003.
So I used to teach hula with Uncle Ed.
Uncle Ed, okay. Yeah. So I never danced hula over at Iolani.
That's so crazy. Iolani High School. Wow. Yeah. But that's one of the royal schools, though.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people. So so there's Kamehameha, Iolani. Does anyone St. Andrews? I think.
Yeah, St. Andrews. Yeah, I think so.
And then I think is there another one? Royal schools.
Not that I.
Iolani, Kamehameha, St. Andrews. If anybody knows and you're watching on YouTube, just comment down below. I think there's 4 royal schools in Hawaii. Iolani, how was that?
To be honest, it was hard.
Really?
Yeah, you know, coming from like being like born and raised in Kailua, Oahu.
Okay.
Having to drive all over the Pali.
Wow.
You know, early mornings drives. Right. You know, you go into a school where it's that kind of like education and college prep and everything.
It's intense.
It was intense, you know, and you know, I struggled the whole way through. And
see,
it was tough.
I like that you say that, because when I was teaching, I was like, man, these kids are competitive.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you go to other schools, in between hula and whatnot, they're just like kind of hanging out and playing. No way. These kids are like, oh no, I got an AP class to do. Oh no, I got a college prep class to do. I was like, who are these kids?
Yeah, and then from my background, right, like the whole educational system wasn't geared towards how I learned. Right? It was textbooks. It was all this like memorize the dates, memorize all these formulas, and I couldn't do that.
I see. Even that was you read my mind because I was going to ask you. So growing up, and this is some people get mad when I ask this question. So grew up in Kailua.
Yeah.
Kanaka Kailua or Haole Kailua?
Kanaka Kailua.
See, a lot of people have
So in Kailua we have this Kailua and then there's Kainalu.
Oh.
There's that little separation.
Okay.
And that's all from sports. Like Kainalu is all at the Kanaka
right.
Kailua people. And then Kailua was like, oh, okay.
See, he's dropping knowledge already. If you're joining us, this is Culturized. We are sitting with Daniel Ipa. We're going to get into a little bit about who he is, and we're going to get all the way to something called the Cou Project. Stay right here on Culturized.
Bringing you what matters. Viewers can receive the Star Advertiser digital full access subscription for just $9.95 per month. Go to staradvertiser.com and click on subscribe. Use the code AHAITHING. For all your money needs, Hawaiian Financial Federal Credit Union is here for you. Visit hificu.com.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to Culturized. It is me, Makahiki. I'm humbled and I'm privileged to be sitting with Daniel Ipa. I'm learning some stuff right now. And all I knew was like, Kanaka Kailua, Haole Kailua. And you're like, no, so that divide is Kainalu. What was that like growing up?
It was definitely that separation, right? Like you have like the local kids who are known as like the ones who always get into trouble, the other kids, So it's like, when it comes to sports is huge in Hawaii, playing so baseball, football, and everything. So Kainalu, we were the kids who never had uniforms until the end of the season. Finally, we get our numbers, but it's usually like all the aunties taping the numbers in the back. That was like that's what we grew up as.
I love that.
But we were pretty good, But it was all about playing, having fun.
Growing up in Kailua, and you touched on it a little bit, because now when you went to Iolani, but growing up, were you? Did you grow up with your parents, grandparents?
Yeah, so parents and grandparents.
Wow, lucky.
So like my grandparents were right next door. So if we ever got in trouble at home, we could just run next door. If there's no more food at our house, we just run next door.
Weird question, but who did you learn from more? Grandparents or parents?
I was fortunate enough to have both sides.
Okay.
Yeah, and then both had their own lessons they instilled upon us and everything.
Did you learn, was culture in the house already?
Yeah, so culture's pretty big in our house. My mom was a hula teacher,
Right.
Teaching like the neighborhood kids, the families and everything. And everybody would meet at my grandparents' house in the garage. And we had imu at my grandparents' house. We did all that stuff, make ipu heke down at the beach. We go down, scrub the ipus and everything.
I love that. Okay, so did you ever get to a point, so learning wise, so you're obviously a kilo learner, right? You observe, right? A lot of people don't, so like he was saying earlier, sometimes we're not designed for textbooks and reading and memorizing, but if we observe somebody doing that, within all the cultural practices within the household, what is one of the first things you pilied to? Like, what was it? Hula? Was it sports? What?
It was hula. Hula was the first thing.
You remember your first hula?
Boy from Lapo Hoi Hoi, from Auntie Luli.
I don't remember my first one. Man, serious.
But the best part was being able to dance Boy from Lapo Hoi Hoi for Auntie
Really? Yeah. Wow.
So I was probably like 6 or 7 years old, but I still remember how it was a big thing.
At that age, knowing that that's Auntie's song, was there pressure already?
Oh yeah, there's always pressure.
It's like, boy.
Yeah, this is Auntie's song. You better dance it right,
No way. So hula you pili to that first. Growing up in the household, what are things from growing up that you bring into culturally that you bring into your adult life?
I remember growing up, my grandfather and my father also taught me, when you eat poi, the kahi to boy,
Nobody does that anymore.
Yeah, and that's something that stuck with me since a kid.
Can you explain to those that are watching why we do that, or how you were taught?
Yeah, so when you kahi bowl, it's like you have the umeke, right? And you have all the poi inside, and when you're mixing it all up and everything, or people are eating all of it, when you kahi the bowl, you make sure the bowl is clean after every use. So it always goes back to our values and our way of life, right? It's like, make sure you leave a place better, or even the person feeling better, when you leave them.
See that, you guys? You leave it, and it's funny, so I MC Luas, and we're talking about that too. I always say that. Sometimes I get in trouble because I'll tell the tourists. I was like, listen, you go to our beaches, you hike in our mountains, leave it cleaner than your own house, right? Even if it's not your opala or your rubbish, take it with you. And they're just like, whoa. And sometimes some of our entertainment directors, you cannot say those things. I say, I can say those. We have to say those things.
But you have to say it's a reminder.
Exactly.
It's like I always said, like growing up, we always had that reminder that, hey, That's all we needed, right, to hear from like the people like, hey, oh, okay, if something's wrong, like you kind of stand up a little straighter or something. Yeah.
Isn't that weird that we just knew what "eh" meant?
Yeah.
Right? Because you knew what you were doing isn't right, but you just you wanted to push that until to an "eh."
Yeah, and that was it.
And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
shoot.
okay.
Right? After Iolani, where'd you go?
I went to University of Redlands, Southern
Wow.
California.
Wow.
But the funny story about that whole thing was that I never wanted to leave Hawaii.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm going to stay at home, go UH, go Windward College, community college. But my parents were like, no, you're getting out of here.
How lucky is that,
Yeah.
right? My mom was the same thing, growing up on Lanai. But see, it's funny. So you grew up in Kailua on Oahu. You wanted to stay on Oahu, and your parents was like, no, go. The mainland for us was Oahu. I was like, no, kid, go UH. That's a big school.
Yeah.
It's funny how that perspective happens. So how was it when mom and dad were like, no, you gotta go to the continent?
A little bit of resentment, honestly.
Wow.
Because it was kind of like, like I'm a local boy, I'm an island boy, I want to stay home. And then all of a sudden they're just like, no, you got to go and experience. Because, same thing we taught, right? Leave, travel, learn, and then, but make sure you come back home and you help out the people.
So I want to think about this when we come back from this break. When you went to Redlands, did you think, I want to go there and learn their ways, or I want to go to Redlands and I'm going to show you who I am as a
bit of both.
Okay. Think about that. If you're joining us, this is Culturized. We're sitting with Daniel Ipa. We're getting into the brain of this guy. It's just keep thinking Cou Project, because this is all going to make sense coming up right here on Culturized.
Culturized, brought to you by Beachside Roofing, the leaders.
Hey, what's going on? It's me, Makahiki. Welcome to Culturized. I am humbled. I'm privileged. I'm learning some things. Sometimes I always think to myself, okay, we created this podcast for others to listen in and watch and stuff like that. There comes to a point when I have guests like you, it's like, I'm selfish. This is all about, I'm learning from you now. The Ike bombs and the Manao is coming out. Talking about going away to school. It's always a dilemma. Well, I mean, I don't know. For a lot of local people, right? Should I go away? Should I come back? Because right now, even if you think about it, there's so much of our Kanaka and so much of our native people leaving Hawaii, leaving outside. So when you went to Redlands, what was it? Were you the Kanaka that went to the? I'm Kanaka.
No.
You're just like, no, I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna conform to you guys.
Yeah, I'm more like, I'm just going to observe. I wasn't trying to conform or anything. I was more like just trying to like learn from all the different cultures. Because when you went down there, it was heavily Hispanic, and also white, right?
And so when you were there, they automatically thought you was.
Oh yeah, like right? I got stopped at a market saying, "You're my cousin." I'm like, "I'm not your cousin." They're, "No, you're my cousin." No.
Different boat. You guys went that way. We went this way. Wow. So and then you studied what at Redlands?
So that's another funny story because I actually went to school to be a writer.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to be a writer.
Because you're an author, right? You've actually published.
Yeah.
So you went there first. What did you publish?
It's just a book called Aloha to You, and that was kind of the prequel to the Cou Project.
What was the mana'o behind it? What, like moi uhane? Did you just like, I gotta write this book?
Yeah, I gotta write this book because we hear always about giving aloha, and then I came to the point where I was going through a family stuff. Right, we're seeing all the people who are always giving aloha, but they always leave us too soon. Like sooner than they should have, and they had so much to do. But then you think about how much they gave, and I always question like how often did they take time for themselves to take care of their health, because you see them, they're giving so much, but then they're also getting tired, and no one takes the time to be like, hey, slow down, like take care of you, so that's where Aloha to You came. Like,
that's so crazy because that's kind of been the theme. Every season we have this really underlying organic theme, and we forget that we got to malama ourselves before we malama anybody else. How long did it take to write this book?
It's a couple of years.
Really?
Yeah, it was a slow process. It was more like a personal journal, just like kind of just writing down thoughts and ideas through like readings and just kind of.
Are you still writing now?
I still write every day.
What any projects coming up?
The whole Cou Project thing has been a project of mine for a long time now,
So you went to school to be a writer.
Yeah.
And then you kind of ended up, and after that you went into strength and conditioning, into the fitness and exercise world. And not only just that, but you correct me if I'm wrong, like 21 different, a multitude of is it schools, universities?
So basically, after I graduated, I became the assistant strength coach at the university I went to. So, and there were 21 different sports there. So I was
I tried to research because we know Makahiki, right? We know the games, we know the time, we know all that. My whole thing in my thesis was I want to figure out how did we train for Makahiki, right? Because we knew, of course, Makahiki time, we're going to lomi ourselves, we're going to repair ourselves. But to find literature on how did Hawaiians train, what do you think, your mana'o, how we trained? Makahiki's coming up. We got hakoko. We've got all those things. How do you think we trained?
I really think that they just practice the skills, honestly, like the spear throwing, the ihe, right? Or the what's the ulumaika, right? The speed and running and everything. I think they just practice that stuff. And obviously they probably added more weight to those implements.
See, because I was trying to think. It's like, okay, if you're a spear runner, a spear thrower, or you're a long distance runner, it's like, did they hapai pohaku? Did they lift? What did they do?
And that's one thing that I've been also interested in looking for, is seeing if there's any type of ike out there talking about how they trained, right?
Because the closest I found was with our Lua practitioners. All right, so if you're sitting down with us, man, we're going to go deep on this one. We are talking with Daniel Ipa. We're talking about the Cou Project, writer, strength and conditioning coach, Kanaka, all these titles. I want you to think about what title is most important to you when we come back. This is how we do it. We're sharing and talking culture right here at Culturized.
Long's Drugs is always here for Hawaii, providing your family with their local favorites, accessible health and wellness services to keep you safe and healthy. Make Long's a part of your day.
Hey, welcome back to Culturized. It is me, Makani. I finally get a chance to talk to somebody else within the field of strength and conditioning and fitness and Makahiki. People, they thought I was, other Hawaiians was like, you're going to do Makahiki? I was like, think about it, right? We had war for like 8 months out of the year. Then 4 months, we're like, hey, let's just be cool. But we're still going to, I had somebody go, but it's Makahiki. Why would they go at each other? I said, because it was serious. Although Makahiki was a time of just rest and relaxation. But if you're going to go wrestle somebody, right? I like your mana'o on that, because I couldn't figure out like what they would do. I've heard stories when I was doing my thesis. There was a story, I want to say it's out of Waianae. So one of the stories for runners was they would go to Waianae, catch an anai, a mullet, run all the way to Ulihava, Nanakuli. If they could catch that fish, run, put it back in the water, and the fish would swim away to stay alive. That's how they would train. Yeah. Right? Can you imagine from Waianae to Ulihava, Nanakuli, and you have to run with this fish and keep it alive? That's pretty quick, right?
And that's the thing that you hear, like a lot of the mo'olelo out there, right? Like all these like feats of running. And I'm like, oh, I don't even like to run.
Isn't that crazy?
But it makes me be like, maybe we should be running. You know?
And mind you, we have shoes.
Yeah, we have shoes.
Another story. Share if you know any other. Another one I heard, so from the island of Lanai, so we have this whole Makahiki mound. Some of our games were pretty crazy. Second place meant you're dead, right? So we had, I forget the Hawaiian name. If you know the Hawaiian name, but it was pole vaulting. Do you know?
Yeah.
So they would pole vault over gaps in the cliff, right? If you made it, you win. You didn't make it, you're dead, right? That's the craziest thing. Other things they did were... So they'd have a va'a race. So it'd be a 6-man va'a, but one person inside would be yourself. They would race out as soon as you couldn't see the island, then you turn around and come back. But to me, it's like, how do you train for that?
You guys just got to do it. That's the thing. And I think, but it also shows up like how competition was so part of our culture.
That's,
striving to be best, or to push ourselves beyond the limit.
So which brings me to this. The Cou Project. A lot of times people will hear Cou. Who, what is Cou, first of all?
And that's the question I get a lot too. Like, why did you choose Cou? Because everybody puts Cou as the god of war, right? And I tell them that is a part of it, But, don't forget the other legend of Cou, right? Sacrificing his body to become the ulu tree, to provide, to protect, the sacrifice of love to his ohana. So I tell them it's a balance of what the energy of Cou brings.
And it's funny, I like you say balance, because last season we were talking with the Kamahina Project, right?
Yeah.
And I always talk about somebody needs to make a shirt, more hina, less ku, or more ku, less hina, right? Because we know hina is our feminine side, our soft side, but ku, we need ku. And I like the fact that you shared that, because, again, a lot of people, we pick and choose what attributes of our akua or our gods that we choose, and some people just they focus on it too much. It's like, okay, he's not just the god of war. So thank you for sharing that, because I truly think as you fast forward to modern day, as Kanaka Kane, we have a hard time to talk to each other, right? Talking to Aaron Salah as well, he's like, we have to have organic conversations together. Which now we talk about Cou, and you created something called the Cou Project.
Yeah.
What is that all about?
It's basically creating conversations, and not just with people, but with ourselves as well.
I like that.
It goes back to that Olelo no Yao, Ikalelo no Keola, Ikalelo no Komake, and where's there's life and where's there's death.
Exactly. And say that again for those that are watching.
Ikalelo no Keola, Ikalelo no Komake, and where's there's life and where's there's death.
And it's hard because Kanaka, we'll just walk somewhere and punch air when we're mad or we're upset, right? We're happy. We won't tell anybody we're happy, right?
Or if we ask somebody, hey, bro, how you doing? They're like, just cruising.
Yes, I always, I got this totally on topic, off topic. When I was doing radio on the main, and it's always funny because I had this conversation on air because one of the other DJs goes, how come when we ask how you are, you're just like, oh, I'm good? And then he goes, you ask other people and they just give you this long, oh my gosh, my hemorrhoids are acting up, my kid's this. I'm like, well, easy. Anyway, this is Culturize. Sitting down with Daniel Ipa, we are going to get into the Cou Project and who he is. I want you to join us at the extended version. Those of you watching on TV right now, you got to go jump on YouTube, find us on social media, all of our platforms, comment down below once you jump on there. This is how we do it on Culturize. We're sharing and talking culture, sitting with Daniel Ipa, extended version coming up on YouTube. Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha, it is me, Makahiki. Thanks for joining us. If you moved over from TV to YouTube, do all those things that validate my existence. We're in another season, which means you like my guests, not me. And that's what it's all about. If you want to be a guest, you want to share some culture, comment down below, get in touch with us somehow. I'm sitting with Daniel Ipa, the creator of the Cou Project, talking about where he was born and raised and how he was, his life led him to all these different things. And as a Kanaka, I asked the question earlier, Kanaka, author, strength and conditioning coach, titles that you have. I'm just going to throw title Kumu in there because everything you do is teaching. What is one of the most important titles to you, if you had to categorize them?
Right now it's father.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. That's big.
What's that like?
I have 3 keiki, and we just welcomed our third 2 months ago.
Oh my God! Congratulations.
So, understanding the importance of a father in the keiki's life is.
And talk about balance now.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of like my biggest kuleana I have.
Nice.
Being a father.
What's more difficult, coaching athletes or raising kids?
Athletes.
I like that. So now we get back to it. So congratulations.
Yeah,
Fathers at the top. So Cou Project, I think, I'm just going to say it's brilliant. I came across it on social media. And again, I think even with this modern contemporary time we're in, the information age, I still think Hawaii Lona happened. I still think our cultural values and practices can cross over some into the technological world, because I was at a time, I was like, man, I was, studying healing and, not even as old as I am, not knowing what I'm going to do. And then I came across, I don't know how I came across the Cou Project. Yeah. And this was about the time that you were just putting text.
Yeah.
On your post, and I was like, why the hell is this guy talking to me for? Yeah. Right? And it was like, whoa. And of course, when Hawaii Lona comes about, if you're joining us, Hawaii Lona is just these signs. And this is the worst analogy I use for Hawaii Lona, but people out of the circle understand it. It's like that movie, Final Destination, right? All these signs we never pay attention to. If we pay attention to them, that's Hawaii Lona in a weird analogy. But I took that as some kind of technological Hawaii Lona. I'm like, Cou Project. So I started following. And it's like, okay, I gotta talk to this guy. It's crazy. What was the mindset behind that, creating Cou Project? I mean, you talked about it a little bit, but
yeah, I started that Cou Project back in 2012. Honestly, it's been a while for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, and just in the past couple of years, people are listening.
So let me ask you that, to interrupt you. That you started in 2012. Now it's hugely blowing up. It's because I work also in the healing in the behavioral health world. Do you think it's because people are adhering to it now because they need it? And that's just a sign of, man, not only as Kane, but just as people, we need that. We need somebody like you. We need the Cou Project to say, hey, how are you?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Which is scary. Because I always say when I work at the health center, it's like I like what I do, but I don't like what I do because I have to help people that need help, right? So Cou Project started in 2012. You remember the first thing you posted?
Oh yeah, it was a workout.
Really?
Yeah, because that was when I started Cou Project as a way to instill culture into our fitness and health for Native Hawaiian people.
That was the other thing that I liked, because that's why I brought up Makahiki. Because you took that strength and conditioning, and I didn't know anybody else. Because my tutor always used to tell me, I don't care what you do, personally and professionally, cultural needs to be your foundation. So when I used to do radio, it was culture-based. When I was, after my degree in exercise science, I had a fitness company. And I literally I was doing tours, and I called it Makahiki Adventures. Everything I did was culturally based. Even if I just changed the name of I was doing hula aerobics. Right, this was back in the early 90s. People thought I was crazy. So you started with workouts. How did it evolve into what it is now?
Well, because I always saw that fitness and workouts was just a vehicle. It wasn't like the end point. It was just a vehicle to create those conversations. So when we had a space as a coach, you always want to create a space where people feel welcome, feel safe, they feel heard, appreciated. So when I had my own facility and started coaching people, I really made sure I created that culturally based.
Talk about kilo skills.
Yeah.
Because there's even, you look at, and not to knock trainers today, but when I was training people, I was like, I don't know if I'm a trainer or a behavioral therapist.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And I think that's where coaching comes in, right? Like I always tell people, like, a coach is just a person that takes an individual from one point to the other point. That's what a coach is. So
if you could look at, as we do as Hawaiians, and you look at a person as a whole, say if it's an athlete that you're training, might be a weird question, but how much percentage as a strength and conditioning coach do you focus on the physical, the mental, the spiritual, the emotional, or you do it all? Because there's not a lot of...
It's a holistic approach, right? And it's about understanding who the individual is. Nowadays, it's like everybody follows one plan, and everybody got to jump on this plan. For me, it was like, who are you? What's going on in your life? So some people were just like, all you need to do is just create space, give a person space for them to create space within themselves, right?
Do you notice, because I used to notice when, say a client or an athlete is plateauing at a workout, I used to think it's not because of something physical, it's something else. You used to think that, or you think that now? See, people always think, no, they're just physically plateauing. I'm like, there's other components to this.
Yeah, and sometimes it just takes a small tweak for you to bust out of that plateau.
I love that. So from workouts, Cou Project workouts, then you started getting into just text, right, on that. How do you do it? What is it? Moi Uhani again? It's like, I got to post something. Do you have a plan? I mean, because I know you're a writer. Do you have a plan, or you have all these things written out already? Or it's like you get up and like, that's it?
It's a bit of a mixture of both, And to be honest, at one point, I just got tired of showing myself.
See, I read comments and people's like, who are you?
Because that's what
which is brilliant, I think.
But then it goes back to, I remember hearing one of your past episodes, and we were talking about how name is so important, right? The name that you're given is such a big thing. And when I was hearing that one, it really hit me, because that's basically what I'm doing now. Like, I didn't want the Cou Project to be about me. I want the Cou Project to be about the message.
Yes.
You know, and what people interpret from those things. Because again, like teachers taught us, right? When you tell one story, it becomes a whole different story. If you tell one story to thousands of people, it becomes a whole 1,000 different stories. And they're all right, depending on who they are.
So I do have to tell you, when I first reached out to you, because we think that way, right, as Kanakas, and that's a little bit of the difficulty for this show, is because of that. We want the message to be the message. We want the Ho'ailona to be the Ho'ailona. We don't necessarily not care, but it doesn't matter who it comes from. Right. But at the same time, I think, no, I need to talk to him, because we need to talk to everybody else, exactly like we're doing now. So mahalo for being on, and mahalo for watching episodes. From text you went into, which it just gets more brilliant and more brilliant. And then just the simple fact, I bring it up, it's like, hey, pehea oi.
Yeah.
Just that is heavy. I remember Kimo Leong, he was blowing up my phone like, brah, you know this guy?
Yeah.
Because did you tell him what we did? Because everything he's posting is what you and I talked about. I said, yeah, that's just how it works.
Yeah. I
said, I've never met him yet. He was tripping out, I remember him saying, just the fact that he heard your post go, pehea oi. He didn't even go to the next thing. He was just like, he said he stopped, and he was like, shoot, how am I?
Yeah.
Are you going to continue to do that, or is it going to go,
No, it's kind of like a continuous theme, right now, because it is for those reasons, right? Just to kind of stop, And sometimes people ask me, why don't you say aloha, pehea oi? And I was like, because it sounds different when you say, how's it, pehea oi?
I like that.
It has a little different, like more like casual, more like calm you down. Like when you say aloha, pehea oi, it's like, oh, okay.
Because usually when two local brothers sit down, it's like, hey, how you, bro?
Yeah.
Just silence after that, right? That's why I always say, remember that word, people used to use that word, all right. I said, that was the uncomfortable silence word.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to say something. Yeah. I know you got a lot going on. I want to say mahalo again for making time to be here and continue. The Cou Project, amazing. If you haven't followed them yet, you're on IG, right?
Yeah.
What else are you on? Other social media platforms?
Facebook and Twitter, yeah.
Facebook and Twitter, go follow that. Kanaka out there, men, women, children, that just... anything you can tell them if they're at a point that they just, I don't know, moving forward.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
How's it? Pehea oi.
Look at the power of that is amazing. So thank you, brother. Mahalo for being here. We want to bring you back because we want to follow you to see what else you got going on. Continued success in writing, in strength and conditioning, in the Cou Project with the Keiki as well. So Daniel Ipa, my friends, this is Culturized. Go find out where he is. Don't find out where he is. It's kind of creepy. Just go follow the Cou Project. This is Culturized.